Hello there and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nesli and I'm a pattern maker. Today we are making something I love when I travel, a fully expandable, compressible and super functional travel packing bag. If you are the type of person who packs with a just-in-case mindset, this bag is going to feel like a small miracle for you. So here's the deal. This bag has two zippers. The top zipper of the flap works like any normal bag, and then there's an expansion zipper that goes all the way around. When you unzip that one, the whole bag gets taller, which means extra space for your sweater you might need, the scarf you definitely don't need, and cozy pajamas you're absolutely bringing no matter what. And once you close the zipper, everything gets squished down and suddenly you have room for even more stuff in your luggage. Now for the fun part, the pattern comes in two sets, a large set and a small set, and each set includes two sizes, so yes, 4 sizes total, made for cabin-sized suitcase. You can swap a matching set or do a mix and match situation, and when you actually pack them all into your cabin-sized suitcase, it's so satisfying. Everything has a home and nothing shifts around. This project is labeled intermediate mostly because there are more pieces, more notches, and we will sew some bias tape, but don't worry, I walk you through every single step. Just pause the video whenever you need to, take your time, and seriously, don't skip the notches because the notches in this project are the unsung heroes. And yes, the pattern is now available in my Etsy shop and the link is in the descriptions down below. So that is everything you need to know to get started. Then get your fabrics, get your materials. Let's begin sewing.
Now let's go ahead and cut all the pieces from our main fabric and get everything ready. We'll also cut our wadding pieces so that each one is about 3 centimeters larger around the edges than the corresponding main fabric pieces. Prepare your lining pieces as well and make sure all the notches are transferred onto every single piece. Cut your interfacing in the same way. The number of pieces you need for each fabric is listed in the table inside the sewing instructions manual. For interfacing, you can use a mid-weight or lightweight cotton-like material. If your main fabric is very thin, you can go with a slightly heavier interfacing. This is completely up to your preference. For wadding, I use something very thin, like 75 grams per square meter, because this is a travel bag and we want to keep it as lightweight as possible. I use a type so light that I can almost see my hand through it. Interfacing and wadding are both optional. You can choose not to use them at all if you prefer. For this project, I recommend using a size 5 continuous zipper, those long zipper tapes you buy by the meter because we'll be using quite a lot of zipper. You can even use 2 different colors, one for the flap and one for the expansion zipper. And, of course, make sure to get 2 zipper pulls that match the size of your zipper tape. Take one of your top and bottom pieces cut from the lining fabric and place it on your ironing board with the wrong side facing up. Lay the fusible interfacing on top, with the glue side facing the wrong side of the fabric. This makes sure the adhesive bonds properly when we press it. Go ahead and fuse the interfacing to the fabric using your iron. This step helps stabilize the fabric and gives it the firmness we want. Just follow the temperature and pressing instructions for the interfacing you're using. Do the same thing for all the other lining pieces. Place them wrong side up, lay the interfacing with the glue side down, and press everything in place. All our pieces are interfaced now, everything is ready. In this project, the notches are extremely important, so for a smooth sewing experience, let's go over them one more time. For example, this piece has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 notches. This V-shaped notch here marks the center back, and all center back notches will come together. On the back piece, we have two notches, both V-shaped. This is the top side piece. It has notches 1, 2, 3, 4, and also 5 and 6, and I'm marking all of them again, don't forget the V-notch. This piece has more notches than the others. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. To attach the expansion zipper, we have these matching U-shaped notches. And on the two short edges, we have notch 1 and notch 2, which show where the expansion zipper will be placed. I'm marking the U-shaped notches as well because they are crucial for inserting the expansion zipper. I'm also marking the center back notches that will line up later. All of these notches appear on the main fabric pieces as well, so make sure you've transferred every single one. These notches will absolutely save your life in this project. Take one of your top and bottom pieces and place it right side up in front of you. Locate the two notches at the center of the long edges. Using a ruler, connect these notches and draw a straight center line from top to bottom. My ruler has markings that show centimeter intervals. Since I want my quilting lines to be spaced 2 centimeters apart, I place the 2 centimeters mark directly on top of the center vertical line I drew, and then I draw a new line parallel to it at that distance. Then I keep going 2 centimeters to the right, 2 centimeters to the left until I have all my quilting guidelines. Of course, you can choose any spacing you prefer. That part is totally up to you. Just make sure to use the same spacing on all your main fabric pieces so everything stays consistent. And that's how I get my quilting lines, each spaced 2 centimeters apart. If you have a quilting foot, you can set the guide here to 2 centimeters or whatever spacing you prefer and use your vertical center line as your starting guide. From there, you can stitch at your chosen intervals while using each previous quilting line as your new guide. I'm setting my gauge to 2 centimeters, measuring from the needle to the guide. Since I'll be using a quilting foot for this project, I'm going to match the 2 center notches on all remaining main fabric pieces, then complete the rest of the quilting by simply following those lines with my quilting foot. Next, I place my top and bottom piece right side up on top of the wadding and pin it in a few spots so nothing shifts while we sew. Then I start quilting either by following the lines I've drawn or by using my quilting foot as a guide. I repeat the exact same process for all the remaining pieces. I center the fabric on the wadding, pin everything in place and get it ready for quilting. Using a long stitch length, I begin sewing along the lines. I attach my quilting foot to the machine and make sure it's set to 2 centimeters. Now I sew along the center vertical line first. Once that line is done, I place the stitch right under the gauge and use it as my guide to sew the next line. My eyes stay on the gauge the whole time, not on the needle. After quilting all the pieces, I sew a quick basting stitch about 2 mm from the edge all the way around. This keeps the fabric and the wadding together so they behave as one layer. When the quilting is finished, I remove all the pins and trim away the excess wadding, following the shape of the fabric so the edges look clean. And I repeat this trimming step for all the quilted pieces. Now that all our main pieces are quilted and the extra wadding has been trimmed off, we can move on to the assembly. Now let's move on to the flap zipper. For this project, like I mentioned before, I definitely recommend using a continuous zipper since we need pretty long pieces. Check the table in the sewing instructions manual to find the exact length you need for your size. Of course, you can use a regular pre-cut zipper, but it might be hard to find one that's long enough and they can be more expensive. I'm sewing the extra large size right now, so I need a 91.5 cm zipper for the flap. However, I always cut my zippers slightly longer than the measurement listed in the table. That extra bit makes the installation process much easier. I open the zipper teeth a little bit at one end and trim one side of the zipper tape about 1 cm shorter than the other. That tiny difference helps the pull slide on smoothly. I grab a zipper pull that matches my zipper size. There are 2 little slots on each side of the pull and we'll use those to attach it to the zipper. I position the zipper pull so that the pointy end is facing toward the zipper. I start by feeding the first slot onto the longer side of the zipper tape, sliding it in until it reaches the shorter side. Then, once I get to the shorter tape, I insert that side into the second slot. I keep both zipper tapes flat on the table and gently pull the zipper pull so it locks on properly. And finally, I slide the pull all the way down, stopping about 1 or 2 centimeters before the opposite end, just enough so it doesn't slide off completely. I'm sewing a small locking stitch right at the base of the zipper pull on the side where I slid it on. This prevents the pull from coming off, and it also gives us a clear reference point for measuring the rest of the zipper. From that little locking stitch, I grab my measuring tape and measure the flap zipper length needed for my size, which was 91.5 cm. Then I mark that point on the zipper with a heat erasable pen. At that new marking, I sew another locking stitch to secure this end as well, and then trim the excess zipper, leaving about 1 cm of seam allowance beyond the stitch. Next, I fold the zipper piece in half lengthwise, matching the locking stitches we did earlier neatly. Then I give the folded end a tiny snip on both sides of the zipper tape. This marks the exact center point of the zipper. Now it's time to attach the zipper to the top side pieces. We're going to match the V-shaped center notches on all 3 pieces. I place my quilted main fabric right side up and position the zipper right side down on top of it. I match the center notch of the zipper to the center notch of the quilted panel and pin it in place. Then I bring in the lining. I place the lining right side down so the right sides of the main fabric and the lining are facing each other, with the zipper neatly sandwiched in between. Next, I align the short edges of all the layers, stacking them directly on top of each other, and pin along the edge. I always make sure the notches line up. If the pieces feel like they don't perfectly match, especially if you quilted your main fabric, don't worry. Quilting naturally makes the fabric shrink a bit. Just give it a gentle stretch and everything will fall into place. That's why these notches are so important. Now the zipper is sandwiched between the 2 layers, and I line up all the edges, double checking that the notches are perfectly aligned. Then I sew as close to the zipper teeth as I can using a zipper foot, stitching along the edge with a 1 cm seam allowance. After sewing, I flip the layers over so the main fabric and the lining are on their correct sides with their wrong sides touching each other. Again, I bring the matching notches together, align them carefully and pin them in place. Then I pin along the entire raw edge and sew about 5 mm in, starting from one short edge, then the long edge, and finishing on the other short edge to secure the lining and the main fabric together. Then, on the main fabric side, sew a top stitch about 4-5 mm away from the zipper edge. Now we'll start attaching the back pieces to the long rectangular zipper panel. I begin with the lining back piece, placing it right sides together, aligning the short edges with the lining side of the long zipper panel. Next, I place the main fabric back piece right sides together with the main fabric side of the zipper panel, again matching the short edges. With the zipper panel sandwiched between the two back pieces, I sew along this short edge using a 1 cm seam allowance. Now I'm sewing the remaining short edges. I take the other short edge of the main fabric back piece and align it with the remaining short edge of the zipper panel, right sides together. To finish this part, I start forming the little burrito roll. I leave the lining back piece out for now and roll the sewn layers from one end toward the other so they're easier to handle for the next seam. Then bring the free short edge of the lining back piece to meet the remaining short edge of the zipper panel, right sides together with the lining sides touching. Sew along this short edge with a 1 cm seam allowance. After this part is completed, you will have a round piece in your hand. Align the long raw edges of the lining back piece and the main fabric back piece. Pin them together neatly, then sew about 5 mm in from the edge along the entire length. Let's move on to the expansion zipper. I'm using a different color here because I think the contrast will add a nice little touch. I'm going to attach the zipper pull using the same method as before. According to the measurement listed in the How Should My Zipper Lengths Be table, I marked the zipper tape at 128 cm for the extra large size. Then cut it just a bit longer than that. I've already threaded the zipper pull, and now I'm going to trim the excess on the other side and add a locking stitch there as well. Now I'm taking my main fabric bottom side piece and locating the notches on the two short edges. Pick either side. I place the zipper's locked end right between the notches on the short edge of the bottom side piece. Then I sew it in place with a 5 mm seam. Then I open the zipper all the way and separate the zipper tapes. Now I'm locating the U-shaped notches on both long edges near the short end. Make sure not to confuse these with the straight notches. I bring my zipper tapes over and pin each side right into those U-shaped notches. Then I sew the zipper to the bottom side piece just up to this point. While stitching, I make sure to sew about 2 to 3 mm away from the edge of the zipper tape so the fabric doesn't get caught in the zipper teeth. Now we've only stitched up to this point. What we're going to do next is gently pull the zipper pull a little and then match this edge with this edge so they line up. I secure it with a few pins and then I sew along the edge with a 1 cm seam allowance. This seam allowance naturally wants to fall to this side because of the zipper, so we're going to let it. Now we have a circular piece. We'll attach both of our zipper tapes all the way around these raw edges. Starting from the U-shaped notch, I'm pinning along the entire edge. Now I've gone all the way around the edge and I'm back at the U-shaped notch. So I'm going to take this remaining zipper tail and fold it upward right at the U-notch, bringing it out to the outside like this. Then I place my last pin here. Let's do the same thing for the other side as well. Starting again from this U-shaped point, I'm stitching all the way around the edge, sewing both sides with a 5 mm seam allowance. Now I'm trimming off the extra zipper tape, just so everything lines up clean with the edge. I'm also finding all the notches on my main fabric and transferring those marks onto the zipper tape, since the notches are underneath the tape and I can't see them right now. These marks are going to help me when I attach the lining. I'm grabbing the lining bottom side piece and placing it right side up in front of me. I bring the short edges together, right sides facing, and sew that seam with a 1 cm seam allowance. Now this has become a circular piece. With wrong sides touching, I'm aligning this seam line with the seam line on the main fabric. Its seam allowance is pressed this way, and the other one is pressed the opposite way, so to avoid bulk. I place the seam allowances in opposite directions when I stack them. I'm pinning from the zipper tape side. I place the lining inside the main fabric piece. I match this V-notch with the V-notch here, and then match all the remaining notches all around the edges. I pin the raw edges together all the way around. Now I'm going to sew along this entire edge and then the other entire edge with a 5 mm seam allowance to join the two pieces together. Now it's time to join the main fabric, top and bottom piece with its lining piece. Turn the lining to the wrong side so the wrong sides of both layers can face each other. Place the two pieces right on top of each other, carefully matching every edge and every notch. Go ahead and pin a few spots just to keep everything still while you sew. Stitch all the way around, about 5 mm in from the edge, connecting the two pieces into one clean layer. Then repeat the exact same steps for the second top and bottom piece. Now I'm transferring the notches from the top side piece onto the zipper tape, placing them exactly across from each other. We already have the front center notch visible here. Now let's transfer this notch directly across to the opposite side. Just do your markings all the way around. These will be very helpful later when we start joining the pieces together. The side piece's fabric edge will attach to this top piece, so the top side piece needs to be facing upward. Using these V-notches, let's start joining everything. I pin the edges together with the main fabrics touching. I match this seam line with this notch. Then I match this notch with the notch on the short edge. After that, I match this notch with this one here. I rotate the piece as I go and keep aligning all the main fabric edges together. And finally, I make sure this seam line meets the notch right here. I place a few more pins all the way around to secure everything. Now, when joining the corners, I'm again bringing the edges right on top of each other and gently wiggling them into place with my fingers. If you can't get them to sit perfectly, you can make a few tiny snips along the edge to help it ease in. Now we're going to sew all the way around the edges with a 1 cm seam allowance. Now, just like we did on the top side, I'm going to attach the bottom side piece to the top and bottom pieces. This V-notch will meet this seam line. Then we'll match this notch with the notch here, this one with this, and this one with this. Basically, we're matching all the corresponding notches and pinning them in place. Just like I did on the top edges, I've pinned everything all the way around. Now we're going to sew it again with a 1 cm seam allowance. Now, let's join the top and bottom pieces together. First, I'm opening the flap zipper. Then, I'm going to match the V-notch at the center of the back piece with this seam line here. The main fabrics will be touching each other. I'm also matching the seam line on the back piece with this notch. And on the other side, I'm matching that seam line with the notch over here. Now I'm bringing the zipper around the bottom piece. The right side of the flap zipper should be touching the right side of the expansion zipper, and I'm aligning the edges. I match the notch here with the notch over there. This is where all the markings we transferred earlier become really helpful. Again, I'm matching these notches. Matching this notch with the one here and pinning them in place. Then I pin all the way around the entire edge, just like this. The right sides of both zipper tapes are touching and both zipper teeth are facing downward. Now I sew all the way around with a 1 cm seam allowance. We're going to attach the bias tape now. We have this edge, and this edge. Using the seam line as a reference, I mark 3 cm to the right and 3 cm to the left. I'm using a pre-made bias tape that measures 4 cm when fully opened and 1 cm when folded. If you prefer, you can also make your own bias tape. I show how to do that in the French beret video, so feel free to create it from any fabric you like. I open one fold of the tape like this, and leaving a 7-8 cm tail, I place my first pin right at the marking. Then I continue placing the bias tape all around the entire edge, working my way around the piece. After going all the way around the edges, I place my last pin right at this marking. I cut the bias tape, leaving the same length of tail as before. Now, starting from this point, I sew the bias tape all the way around with a 1 cm seam allowance, stopping right here where the marking is. Now let's join these two ends together. I am placing a vertical pin right on the seam line. I open the edge of the bias tape and bring it over the pin, marking exactly where it meets. Then I take the other end, open that edge as well, and mark it the same way right where it meets the pin. Now I line up those two marked lines, place them on top of each other, and pin them together. Then sew a straight line so that the joint seam will sit perfectly on the surface of the bag. Now I trim the excess bias tape, leaving about a 1 cm seam allowance. Then I open those two seam allowances, separate them, and pin them flat. And now I sew the remaining gap closed, stitching right along that unsewn section to finish the binding. Now I fold this bias tape in by 1 cm and then fold it over again to cover the raw edge of the bag. I fold the bias tape all the way around, enclosing every bit of the raw edge and pinning as I go. As I fold, I pin all around the edge to hold everything neatly in place. Pins show on the back, and on the front they sit right at the edge of the bias tape. The curves can feel a little tricky, but with a bit of gentle wiggle and patience, they fall into place beautifully. Then I pin all around the entire perimeter. Then I sew the bias tape down, stitching about 2 mm from the inner edge of the tape for a clean, finished look. Now, with this edge is done, I think it looks so neat. Now repeat this same process to finish the raw edges on both the top and bottom sections. Once all 3 circular edges are enclosed in bias tape, it's going to look so clean and so professional. And that's it! Your travel packing bag is officially finished. I know this project has a lot of steps and quite a few notches and zippers going on, but if you made it this far, seriously well done. This bag is such a game changer for travel, and I hope you're already thinking about all the trips you'll take it on. If you enjoyed sewing this, don't forget that the pattern comes in 2 different sets, a large set and a small set, and each one includes 2 sizes. So you can sew all 4 sizes and pack your cabin-size suitcase in the most organized way possible. Thanks to the expansion zipper, you can compress your clothes and create extra space for even more items. You can also play around with colors, zipper tapes, or even quilted designs to make it completely your own. I always love seeing your creations. So if you share your bag on Instagram, please tag me. I would genuinely love to see what you made. And if you ever get stuck on a step or need a bit of help, feel free to ask in the comments or send me a message on Etsy. I'm always here to help. Thank you so much for sewing with me today. If you'd like more tutorials like this, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!